You ask an AI for 3 different options. It gives you 3 choices.
Right.
You read through them carefully, you pick the one that feels right, you think you made a really smart choice.
Hmm.
But actually you didn't. What you really got was the exact same answer. It's just wearing 3 different outfits.
Yeah, the logic underneath hasn't changed at all. I mean, only the cosmetic wording shifted.
Welcome to the deep dive. I'm very glad you're here with us. Today, our mission is to unpack a brilliant 2026 guide.
It's a really fantastic piece.
Yeah, it's by Max Ann. It focuses on deploying AI sub-agents. We're going to learn how to force AI to give genuinely independent ideas.
Which is, a critical survival skill for this year. The whole landscape of analysis has fundamentally changed.
Okay, let's unpack this. We will diagnose the gravity problem first. Then we'll explore 3 structural prompting methods. Those are MECE, persona rotation, and dimension locking.
All incredibly useful tools.
Right. And finally, we will reveal the nuclear option of 2026. We are talking about isolated subagents.
Yeah, that nuclear option completely redefines how we handle complex research. It really does.
So let's start with this gravity problem. Why does an AI naturally default to one single answer?
Wow.
I mean, I always assumed asking for variety forced it to think differently.
Yeah, you have to look at the underlying mechanics. The model predicts the safest, most statistically probable response first.
Okay.
It finds that strong center. Then it just creates nearby variations to fill your request.
So it just kind of hovers around the most obvious solution.
Right. And researchers actually call this a gravity problem. Everything gets pulled toward that exact same center mass.
Oh, wow.
Think about a sales call follow-up email.
Yeah.
You ask the AI for 2 different openers.
Right. Let's hear what it typically spits out.
So version 1 usually says something polite like, "It was great connecting with you today. Wanted to follow up on a few things." Then version 2 says, "Thanks for taking the time to meet earlier. I wanted to circle back on some key points."
I mean, they sound slightly different on the surface.
Exactly. They look like different choices to a casual reader.
Yeah.
But structurally, they're identical clones.
Right.
Both open with a polite acknowledgement, both use a soft transition,
Yeah.
and both set up the exact same body paragraph.
So the tone is really just a cheap cosmetic layer.
Yep.
The underlying structural logic hasn't changed at all.
You're just getting synonyms swapped in and out. It's, a complete illusion of choice.
I have to admit, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself.
Oh, everyone does.
It's like asking a chef for 3 different meals
Okay, I like this.
and getting boiled potatoes, baked potatoes, and mashed potatoes.
Right, right.
The words change, but the starch remains. It's like a gravitational pull. The AI's training data is a massive planet. If you just ask for 3 ideas, they stay in the exact same orbit. You need structural thrusters to actually break that orbit.
That is a much better way to conceptualize it. It wants to stay in a stable orbit.
So why exactly does the AI fear being different?
Well, because similarity feels safe to the algorithm. Moving too far away from the highest probability answer increases its chance of being wrong.
I see.
It just does what it was trained to do.
So wandering off the statistical center mathematically increases its risk of failing.
Yes. Beat. It optimizes for safety over genuine novelty.
Right. So if the AI naturally gets pulled into this gravity well, how do we build a structural wall to keep the ideas apart?
We start with our first method. It's called the MECE constraint.
MECE. I've heard management consultants throw that acronym around.
Oh, constantly.
How does it apply here?
What's fascinating here is how the AI interprets it. MECE stands for mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive.
Right. It's a famous McKinsey framework.
Exactly. Mutually exclusive means 0 shared logic, no repeated ideas allowed. And collectively exhaustive means covering the entire solution space.
So you just drop this acronym into your prompt.
Yeah, you explicitly demand a MECE structure. When you include this phrase, the AI wakes up. It recognizes it as a hard structural constraint. It's not just a stylistic preference anymore.
Well, I have to push back a little here.
Sure.
Does the AI actually understand MECE, or is it just another buzzword we're throwing in the prompt?
Oh, it understands the mathematical concept deeply.
Okay.
It maps to distinct clusters in its latent space. But, you can't just drop the word and hope.
Right.
You have to force it to show its work.
How do you force a language model to show its work?
You ask it for a 1-sentence explanation before each option. You make it explicitly state how this option does not overlap with the others.
Interesting. Why include that 1-sentence explanation rule in the prompt?
Because it forces the model to think about structure first. If it can't explain the difference, it has to rethink the option before generating the rest.
Got it. Making it justify the logic first prevents it from faking the variety.
That is the secret mechanism. You make
Yeah.
it build the architectural blueprint before it lays the bricks.
MEC is great for organizing logical categories, but what if the problem requires fundamentally different human philosophies or creative friction?
Well, then MECE is not enough. You have to move to method 2.
Okay.
We call this persona rotation.
All right, walk me through the mechanics of that.
Instead of asking for different versions, you assign clear personas. You give them completely different ways of thinking.
Not just different tones of voice.
Exactly. You give them conflicting core beliefs about solving problems.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like assembling a boardroom of rivals.
Oh, I like that.
If you put a bunch of polite assistants in a room, they just agree.
Right.
If the personas don't actively want to argue with each other, you won't get divergent outputs.
That boardroom analogy is perfect. Imagine a manager rolling out a weekly planning process.
Okay.
You need 3 distinct pitch approaches for your team.
So I shouldn't just ask for a friendly pitch and a formal pitch.
That just changes the vocabulary again.
Right.
You assign the minimalist, the analyst, and the reframer. You give them hard philosophical boundaries.
What do they each actually believe?
Well, the minimalist believes one compelling truth beats many arguments. They strip everything down to the studs.
Okay. And the analyst?
The analyst believes people are persuaded by data alone. They want to eliminate doubt with pure numbers.
Makes sense. And the third one?
The reframer believes people act on the gap between now and what's possible. They focus entirely on future potential and vision.
Wow. If you put a minimalist and an analyst in the same prompt, you're basically creating a virtual cage match.
Right, and they have to disagree. The minimalist thinks the analyst is overwhelming the team. The analyst thinks the reframer is far too emotional.
Yeah.
That built-in tension forces the outputs to be fundamentally different.
But how do we prevent these personas from just agreeing politely?
You explicitly state their core beliefs in the prompt. If their core beliefs fundamentally conflict, their final answers mathematically cannot align.
So baking conflicting beliefs into the prompt completely short-circuits their default politeness.
It defines the battleground for them. That forced philosophical conflict is the true engine of creativity. Sponsor.
Okay, we are back. We covered the MECE constraint and persona rotation. Let's talk about the third method in the guide.
Dimension locking.
Right.
This is your surgical A/B testing tool. You use this when you already have a strong base idea.
Okay.
Instead of asking for completely different versions, you isolate specific variables.
So persona rotation fixes the philosophy. But what if we already like our core philosophy? We just want to tweak the packaging without the AI rewriting the whole thing.
That is the exact use case.
Yeah.
You want to surgically alter just one piece.
Yeah.
You change only one specific element at a time. Everything else stays the exact same.
Give me a concrete example of this in action.
Think of that sales follow-up email again.
Okay.
You want to test 3 structural variations. For version 1, you change only the opening hook.
What happens to the rest of the text?
The argument flow, the body, and the call to action stay completely identical. You lock those dimensions in place.
So I'm isolating the hook just like a lab experiment.
Yes. Or, for version 3, you change only the call to action. You lock the hook and the body.
Right.
You get very clean comparisons without any multivariable confusion.
For you, the listener, this is the ultimate antidote to information overload.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have to review 3 entirely new essays. You just review 3 different hooks.
It saves so much mental energy.
Yeah.
It reduces your cognitive load massively. But there is a catch.
What's the catch?
You must use a very specific phrase in your prompt. You have to tell it, make sure the differences are meaningful.
What exactly does that phrase accomplish in the background?
Well, without it, the AI's lazy default is to just swap synonyms. Adding that phrase forces the AI to use a genuinely different underlying strategy for that specific variable.
That specific phrase acts like a tripwire that completely kills lazy synonym swapping.
Exactly. It forces a real strategic shift. It prevents those superficial cosmetic edits we talked about earlier.
Okay, so we have these 3 great tools, but AI is an ultimate people pleaser. How do we actually verify it didn't just quietly ignore our constraints?
That brings us to our first bonus tactic. It's called the verification test. You're essentially forcing the AI to grade its own homework.
I love the sound of that. How does it work?
After running any of those 3 methods, you don't just accept the output. You add a 30-second follow-up prompt.
What do we ask it?
You simply say, review your previous response. If two versions share the same underlying idea, tell me.
That is beautifully simple, but why does it work?
It shifts the model's attention mechanism. Instead of generating new text, it runs an internal audit on its own logic.
Wow.
It gives you a quick, undeniable signal.
Instead of you manually reading and comparing dense text, we make the machine do the heavy lifting.
Yep.
We make it audit itself.
You make the model prove it created real variation. If it failed, it will usually admit the overlap right there.
Wait, if I reject the output, doesn't it just apologize and give me the same thing slightly reworded?
Often, yes.
So what should we do if the AI actually admits they overlap?
You immediately reject the output. You make it try again while strictly enforcing those original constraints.
Right.
You tell it exactly where it failed.
Just scrap the output and make it regenerate with much stricter rule enforcement.
Do not accept a flawed output. 2-sec silence. Hold the model accountable for its own logic.
Even with all these clever tests, there's a fatal flaw here.
What's that?
They all happen in the same chat. Option
Ah.
2 can always see option 1.
Yeah, that shared memory is the final hurdle.
To get true independence, we have to go nuclear. We have to talk about AI subagents.
This is the ultimate structural solution for 2026.
Yeah.
If you want genuine, uncontaminated analysis, you have to break the chat interface entirely.
Let's define our terms first. For the listener who hasn't built one yet, what exactly is a subagent?
A separate, isolated AI brain working on a single specific task.
Whoa, imagine scaling to 1 billion queries or, well, spinning up completely isolated brains that can't peek at each other's homework.
It is a massive architectural leap forward.
Yeah.
Standard chat interfaces fail at true independence. Things like your standard ChatGPT or Gemini window,
Why do they fail so predictably?
because they have a shared context window.
Right.
When it writes option 2, the tokens from option 1 are literally sitting in its active memory. Option 2 is mathematically influenced by option 1.
They just naturally pull toward each other.
Right. And option 3 is shaped by the gravitational pull of both.
Wow.
To fix this, you have to remove the shared context entirely. That is what siloed analysis is all about.
Walk me through the actual workflow. How do we deploy them?
So in 2026, the gold standard tools for this are Claude Code and Claude Cowork.
Okay.
You don't just ask one chatbot for 3 ideas. The parent AI spawns 3 isolated subagents.
So it creates 3 separate child instances.
Yes, it gives each child instance a specific angle or analytical lens, but they share 0 memory.
Right.
Child A cannot see what child B is doing.
And they work completely alone in the dark.
They process the source material and reach their own independent conclusions. Then the parent agent steps back in to review all the isolated JSON outputs.
It acts like a manager reviewing individual reports.
Exactly like a manager. It synthesizes where the isolated brains agree and where they differ.
Wow.
0 shared context means 0 gravitational pull.
Should the parent AI or the human define those analytical lenses?
If you know the specific perspectives you need, define them yourself. But if you want to uncover blind spots, let the parent orchestrate the lenses for you.
Take control if you know the angle, but let the parent orchestrate for blind spots.
That is the best approach.
A beat.
But remember, context matters deeply here.
How so?
Because they're isolated, they only reason from what you provide in their specific prompt. You got to feed them rich, distinct data.
We are talking about a fundamental shift in how we interact with these tools. We're transitioning from lazy variation prompting to rigorous divergent prompting.
Or finally stopping the endless stream of rearranged copies.
We are forcing real structural conflict instead of just changing vocabulary words.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the ultimate unfair advantage in 2026 is siloed analysis.
Yeah.
Truly independent thought requires architectural silos.
This has been an incredibly revealing deep dive.
It really has.
For you listening, here is your immediate call to action. Take your very next AI prompt, run that 30-second verification test on it.
Ask it if its own ideas overlap.
See if you've been falling for the gravity problem all along. You might be shocked by how often it admits to faking the variety.
It's a very humbling experiment to run.
I want to leave you with a final, unscripted thought to mull over. If we now have to intentionally program AI subagents to blindly disagree with each other just to arrive at the objective truth,
Yeah,
what does that tell us about how human teams need to collaborate in the future?
that's a good question.
Are our own human context windows making us far too agreeable in meetings? 2-sec silence. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep learning, keep questioning the outputs, and we will see you next time. Outro music.